Okay, what's up, guys? August 28th. Welcome to Pond Collective, episode 5. Number 5.
I know last time we promised a happy episode, but we don't have any subscribers, so it doesn't matter if we actually do that.
Also,
wait a minute.
We failed to find... oh, I'm sorry. We have one new subscriber. Okay.
Who's the lucky subscriber?
Our man Florio. Florio, thank you so much for subscribing. We asked for 2, and we got 1.
We got one.
And we got 1. Looks like he's a wedding photographer, so he is a photographer. Congratulations!
Nice.
On
I'm just glad he's not a. I'm just glad he's not a Russian bot.
He's not a Russian bot. It looks like he's for real. He's only got 72 subscribers on his YouTube, and
nice.
He's probably just a lurker like me on YouTube.
Only 72? We only have 3, so.
And that includes me and you. So, me.
Don't tell people that. Don't tell people that.
Well, we told them last time, so.
I know.
We wanted to start today by, again, we're trying to get more subscribers so that people can actually see what we're doing. We're actually working endlessly and working really hard to try to produce these videos, and the more people that watch it, the more likely we will produce them faster. So here is just a kind of a peek of our YouTube page. We officially have 9 videos up.
We're at 9.
9.
We started. When did we start? 2 months ago.
It says What's month ago for episode 1.
So in a month, we got 9 videos for you.
Okay. And
in a month.
That's talks, it's cameras, it's life, it's everything. So
now, and I'll tell you, there's political stuff and there's gear stuff. If you only want the gear stuff, you can go. I made some playlists. There's a gear playlist that only has the gear stuff. So you want to avoid the political stuff, go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
If you want to get everything, just subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe, and obviously the harder, the more people we get, the more we'll work on it. But we're going to be cutting out all our Fuji Corner stuff into separate little episodes, and then any talks that we think deem worthy, we will be cutting out and putting them into separate episodes as well. We just wanted to bring this up, kind of talk about it. If you happen to see this or run into this, please just visit. And
if you sub, we will call your ass out. We will name you on the cast. So you want to hear your YouTube name said on the cast. We will promote your page and we will say your name.
See, it's that easy.
We'll do that until we have too many subscribers, which that would just be great, and we'll change what we do.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll hit that at some point, but maybe not.
I hope so. Yeah.
In light of that, on our bill today, our first thing we have is the once again tragic shooting that happened in Jacksonville, Florida over the weekend. If you thought you were safe at a video game Madden tournament, think again. 2 young kids were killed, I think ages 22 and 24 or something, by another Madden tourney attendee who decided to go ahead and just shoot up some of his, his other competitors, which is unfortunate.
So confusing too, because he had won before, and he met one of the guys from one of the football teams. Why did he do it?
The guy committed suicide, so we will never, ever know. I always, things
were obviously going decently, right?
It must be fine. I don't know what he must have had a grudge against these players, or there must have been some backstory of some kind that we'll never hear about. But this again brings up the whole issue of guns being easily accessed. I don't know how many times we'll end up talking about gun control during our podcast here, but the fact that it happened and everyone just goes, oh, there it is again. We're so desensitized. It's just part of our culture now.
Yeah, definitely.
For example, I was at a concert, shooting a concert the other day, and just because, randomly I had it, I'm like, could be a shooter here. You know, this place could be shot up, you know?
Yeah, anytime you're in a theater, anytime you're... I mean, they're teaching it to kids at school now, how to deal with this, how to hide from it and stuff. So it's, you know, I don't know.
It's bad.
It's too bad, and it won't stop until the NRA doesn't have the power that they have to make politicians do whatever they want, you know?
Of course. And, yeah. Got to figure out this gun thing, America. Got to figure it out.
We got to change something because we can't keep doing it.
It's literally kids, too, every time, you know? We're in our 30s, always. So that, you know, seeing a 20-year-old lose his life is, I mean, that's pretty crazy to think that somebody like my little sister could be one of these kids that gets shot just because you're somewhere. Doesn't.
Yeah. These poor kids. Like, why are we pushing these children so hard? You know, I feel like that's part of it. Like, I don't know. Whatever that kid why he got to the point where he thought he needed to shoot up his buddies at a Madden tourney. I mean, he won. Like, he had something to be proud of, you know? He was doing well.
Yeah. He
won one before. He met an NFL player. I've never met an NFL player. Well, that's not true. I've met one NFL player.
Yeah.
But that was like 2 years ago. That kid's like, what was he, like 20?
I think he was 24 again.
I mean, you're doing it, man. What is he like? Who pushed him to do that? You know?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you watch the Twitter feed that somebody that was live streaming, and it has it just has the sound from, you know, you could hear the sound in there. And
right.
If anybody goes and watch, I always watch them. I don't know why, because it's the gunshots and hearing people scream and just the echoes of gunshots is such a scary sound.
I hate it.
It's horrible.
I don't want to watch that shit.
I said that the people who got killed were 22 and 24. It's actually one guy was 28, one guy was 22, and then the shooter was 24. So,
wow.
Yeah,
and he killed himself, right?
To take your own life after, you know,
right?
It's really something to take others' lives and then just go ahead and just take yours. So there's no, I mean. It's not like you're going to remember what happened. You're not going to have any feelings about these people ever again. Like, you're literally like,
I feel like it's that's the thing. It's like you don't want to live with yourself after you've done something like that, right, you know?
So,
there was a guy here. I mean, there was just a story here in Chicago. A guy, dad killed his 2 10-year-old kids and then shot himself in the head.
It's like, what?
It's just so, like, what is going on? And it might just be mental health, too. You never know with these situations, but...
I mean, mental health is an obvious answer to that, because you have to have a certain mentality to be able to even think about killing someone and then killing yourself, right? So...
Yeah, right. Especially your children.
Yeah. Our hearts go out to the families of these 2 kids, and I know that this makes the rounds, and I know kids and people are getting shot every day and killed by guns every day, and it's one thing to talk about something that hits the news so hard, but know that guns are killing people every day all over the world. So it's not just
right.
it's not just this situation at this very moment.
Right.
Okay. Our next thing, I think a little bit better, something to look forward to. We have the Elizabeth Warren bill that was pushed. Mike?
Yeah, so Elizabeth Warren put out a bill, and like I like that these Democrats are pushing these bills. They're not going to go through. I mean, the bought and paid for politicians aren't going to push it through, but it's good to bring it up, because then you get public opinion on it, and that is what changes things, right? It's out there. People can talk about whether they like it or not, and I don't see why anybody who's not literally being paid to be a politician or is the owner of a giant corporation wouldn't like this. I mean, this basically this is saying that, like, capitalism as it works now isn't accountable for anything. They just have to pay for whatever they want, this makes them accountable, and it has specific things like, let's see if we can get to some of the more specific parts of this. I mean, this whole article, this Vox article, is talking about like just the wealth inequality and tax havens, and it's basically just the idea that corporations should be held accountable when they do things that are not in the best interest of humans, of Americans, right? If you do something that is only for profit and not for the benefit, and is against the benefit of humans, then we don't need a corporation like that, because ultimately the point of this whole thing is to help us, not for them to make a bunch of money. So I'm trying to find if there's any specifics in here. Shareholder supremacy. I mean, there's one thing in there that's specifically like all corporations over a certain amount need to be, I think half of their shareholders have to be workers at the company.
Okay.
Which stops it from being just like the top 5 guys and a bunch of other people getting rich off of all these workers, you know? Sort of like employee owned. I mean, that's sort of like the idea of an employee owned company, but instead of making it employee owned 100%, you're just saying, hey, Apple, you have to give 50% of your shares to the people who work at your company. You figure out how to do that, but 50% of those shares have to be spread across your company, and it can't be one person, obviously. It has to be 50% of your employees are shareholders. So
I like that, because that alone would change how companies do business, right? So
for sure. I mean, then stock buybacks don't make your company rich; they make your employees rich. And there's limits to stock buybacks. There's a lot of stuff. There's that was the biggest one I liked, but there's a lot of things that just basically says, hey, if you're a corporation, you have to do things within the terms of helping society and humans. This reminds me, there used to be a law that actually got overturned by these same establishment politicians who are corrupt, called the fiduciary law. And if you were an accountant or a wealth planner, a person who deals with people's wealth, you were bound by law. You had to become a fiduciary, which meant you had to pass a certain number. You had to get like a certificate, and that meant you were bound, sort of like the Hippocratic Oath for doctors. You were bound by a set of things that said anything you do has to be in the best interest of your client and their wealth. You still make your money off of helping them, so you get paid out the way that a financial planner takes a percentage of your profits, right? So a financial planner takes your $20,000 and goes, I'm going to invest it here, here, and here, and I'm going to take 5% off the top if you make money. That's how a financial planner works, which is fine. The problem is financial planners started to do things that weren't within the best interest of the person that they were investing for. It was within their own best interest. For example, they could invest your money in something that they knew wouldn't do necessarily very well, and then they could have a clause in there that says, if it doesn't make a certain amount of money, I get a larger percentage because I was trying, I need to make a certain amount of money depending on it. It's just a lot of backward shit that then they're doing things that are not within your best interest, but just help them make more money. That used to be a law, fiduciary law. Now, becoming a fiduciary is optional. You can be a financial planner and not get a fiduciary certificate now. So if you're ever looking for a financial planner, anyone, or you too, J-Roll, I mean, at any point, make sure they're a fiduciary, because if they're not bound by any laws to do anything within that is not beneficial to you.
Fiduciary.
Yeah, fiduciary law. It was overturned a while back, and it's like,
why? Course. Well, of course.
In what who aside from a person who makes money off of financial planning would want that? That would be like doctors not having to deal with malpractice. Like,
yeah.
We need to have people accountable, and there's definitely limits. I don't want to like make them pay $10,000 just to get this certificate, but I don't know. It's just wild. So this is basically that. It's like, hey, you have to be held accountable, and you have to do things within the best interest of the employees at your work and within the people who use your company. So, like Apple, it would have been illegal for Apple to slow down their old phones just to make people buy new ones, but that's not illegal.
Yeah, they definitely do that.
They admitted it.
Yeah, I mean, you load the new software in and it's over. You're done.
They admitted it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like they don't give a shit. It doesn't matter because they're not held accountable for anything.
Yeah, and so, I think guys, if you look at who you're buying from, know the companies you're buying from, know what you're putting your dollar into, because for these corporations, it's all about your dollar. So if you're constantly giving them your dollar, they're going to keep doing what they want. So I know it's hard. You know, I have an Apple phone. I wear
some things
Nikes.
Some things we can't avoid,
stuff,
right?
Really think about where you put your dollar, because it really does matter at the end. And I think that's a good.
You can't avoid some things.
Yeah.
You can't. Like Apple. Like, I don't begrudge anybody who has to get an Apple phone or any. I mean, any phone.
It's all the same.
It all comes from people are slave labor mining minerals in Africa. So if you have a phone, there's nothing you can do.
Right.
You can get there's a thing called the Fair phone, which is like $600, and it's like really slow. But they sourced all their materials from fair trade.
Right.
Makes it really expensive because because nobody has to do it. It's optional. Mm-hmm. If it was not optional, it wouldn't be so expensive because Apple would have to do it. And all those companies that trade, that get all their minerals from fair places, would be making Apple money. Mm-hmm. And then they would be able to lower their prices. Mm-hmm. It's like, anyway. But yeah, I mean, like, I stopped using Amazon, but I don't begrudge anyone who uses Amazon because sometimes you have to. So it's super convenient.
It is. And they have everything. They have things.
They have everything.
So, but again, think about your dollar. It really does speak to America and the whole world. So wherever you're putting your dollar, that's what you're supporting. When we'll talk about, we'll probably bring that up again when we talk about food later in our main thing, because that has a lot to do with it as well. Mm-hmm. We could probably skip these next two things.
What were they? Let's do them.
Okay.
We can chop them out later.
Yeah,
if you want to.
I just finished. If for anybody that knows us or knows, or if you saw, we're going to be going to Puerto Rico in the next 3 weeks here, and we got a list of books from some people who are in the Puerto Rican political stand, and War Against All Puerto Ricans was a book that was recommended to us, and I finally finished it. I just wanted to bring it up, and if you are actually interested in Puerto Rico, this is a really awesome primer to just how Puerto Rico is and why it is right now. And it has a lot to do with nationalists and activists that were against America and their policies on what they were doing in Puerto Rico, and we basically stomped them into the ground. That's the gist of it.
Huh. Yeah, you talked about nationalists. Why don't you explain what nationalists are?
So these are, I mean, as far like this guy right here, Albizu.
Because I heard nationalists, and I thought of American nationalists, which
so these guys, I don't know the exact definition of nationalists, but these are people who wanted Puerto Rico to stay Puerto Rico. So America was in there trying to change Puerto Rico to become an American island, you know. So for example, they told all the teachers that they were going to teach all their classes in English. Everyone there is going to speak English. Brown people are bad. You know, we need to start teaching these savages how to be American or become American. It's a really great book. I'm surprised they haven't made it into a movie. It feels like it would be a great movie because it kind of the way it goes is it tells like 4 background stories of 4 different people, and then it kind of, towards the end of it, kind of wraps them all up, and they're all part of this nationalist movement that ends up happening. And yeah, America just basically says fuck you for trying.
That sounds dead. That sounds like a cool movie with a sad ending.
Yeah, it's a fucked up ending. And yeah, I think it was really good. Definitely gives a great history in Puerto Rico, and I think for us going there, I would love to visit some of these places that they talk about if they still stand there in Puerto Rico, just to kind of see.
Like what? Like what places?
Yeah, there's the big jail that they housed everybody in. And this was like, I mean, they were torturing people in this jail. There's like a barber shop that the nationalists, like, it was their hideout. There was like a crawl space in the back where they like hid all their guns in the apartment above this barber shop. But yeah, if you're interested in a brief history of Puerto Rico, this is really good, and it's something that we're not taught, and it's something that people don't even know about. So
I'll tell you, when the revolution happens, I hope it's not violent.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we'll see what America says about that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay, next thing. Next thing is I am back in college. I just wanted to bring this up because I think it.
I didn't know you were full time.
Yeah, I'm going full time. Taking
nice.
4 classes.
That's awesome.
What'd you say?
That's awesome.
Yeah. I just wanted to bring it up because I know that we talked about our careers in one episode and how to benefit and kind of almost like future-proof yourself, or try to, sometimes you change career paths and you don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I'm back in college, and since I'm becoming more into the political system and just the world in general, I've decided that I'm going to go ahead and take classes that will teach me about world policy and politics here in America and just history in general, because it's something that I was never really that interested in. And now that I am, I was taking photography classes for the last year, and obviously being a photographer already, all those were pretty pointless. So now I'm actually trying to educate myself more so that we can find more stories and just know more history about what's going on, because there's so much shit going on all the time. Like, knowing the history really tells how things are now. So
knowing what you're talking about is important, and like being able to contextualize all this stuff that we go really hard on a lot of this, like corporatist and foreign policy, and like there's a long history of this shit, and it is confusing and complicated, and it's not clean cut. It's not all one thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was just reading a thing about Chapo Trap House. I don't know if you've heard of them.
No.
They're the like main socialist podcast, like the Young Socialist podcast. They make it funny. They're like comedians, but they also talk about socialism. And they released like a book about the revolution and how they see it. And they were talking about a lot in the review of the book. It was pretty critical because they talk about a lot of the foreign policy stuff and history stuff in America. And anyway, long story short, it's like from what it sounds like, maybe they didn't know all the context of some of the stuff they're pretty critical of. I mean, also, maybe I'd love to hear a rebuttal to the review, because maybe they do, and this guy just doesn't like socialists.
Yeah.
But
sure.
It's hard to tell. That's the thing, is I don't know enough about, let's say, the Soviet Union Cold War. I know a little bit, but I don't know a lot. I don't know a lot about the reasons or why, or the good and the bad. I mean, anyway, the point is, it's great to know more of that stuff. It's great to know, because context is important. We don't want to say things that we assume are true and not have the actual knowledge to be humble about it and go, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if that's true or not. So
totally. And I think, I just think that for anyone that is still growing in their careers and stuff, just let go of your ego. If it's something you want to do, something that you need to do, and you think it'll better yourself and better your future, don't be afraid to do it. So okay, our next thing, we're moving on to what the actual
fuck? What the fuck?
What what the fuck? It's funny. Sometimes I show Brittany videos and she says that just cause.
Yeah, because it's like, what the fuck? But you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, what the fuck? Okay, you may have seen this video. This was pretty popular, Mike. We're gonna play a little part of it. So, everyone knows family separation. You know, there's still 500 kids.
Oh no, I saw the thumbnail. I didn't watch. I felt like I was like,
okay.
I can't handle this right now.
All right.
Here we go.
All right, here we go. Let's see what Mike thinks of this vid here.
Oh my god. What's he doing? Oh my god.
He has no idea who she is.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
All right, guys. So,
what the fuck, man?
it's just, listen, I get immigration is tough, and we all know that this issue is really huge, and it was so big for a moment, and no one's talking about it anymore. It was like huge. Everyone's going to rallies, doing this, family separation. What's going on? They still haven't fulfilled the reuniting these kids, what they promised us that they were going to do, and it's been, I think, almost a month. Okay, there are 500 kids still separated. This video just came out. I mean,
probably getting sexually abused at these detention centers.
The kid doesn't trust this person, doesn't know who she is, who knows what happened to him. Like, he is obviously traumatized, and that is a hard pill to swallow, and this kid may never recover from something like that. And the heartbreak of this family alone, as you can see in the mother's face and voice, is pretty tough.
What the fuck?
What the fuck is right, dude?
Why did they even do this shit to begin with? God damn it.
You gotta teach these brown people a lesson.
Yeah, fuck. Oh, you know who doesn't know how to take care of their own children? Brown people.
Yeah.
Fucking dumbass fucking government.
Yeah.
God damn.
If anybody saw this video, you be prepared.
We just need to. We have cultivated a system in which psychopaths have made their way to the top.
Yep.
Do psychopaths have some sort of drive that the rest of us don't? Is that why?
Probably.
Maybe, right? They just, like, the total lack of empathy lets you just step on people's heads until you get to the top. And then you're at the top making decisions about normal people and their children. It's like, yeesh.
Yeah, and it's like, the fact that it's like, again, we've talked about this, like,
ad nauseum.
They're not even thinking about the families, right? They're just like,
no,
they're in here, but put the kids over there, put them over there.
Because people care more about a theoretical job they might have lost than. Who cares even if that actually was true, which is not, who gives a shit if you lost your fucking job to a brown person? I don't care. Not enough to separate a child from their mom. I don't give a shit.
No.
I don't care if that mom does dope all day.
It's still going on, folks. Please pay attention, okay?
Don't stop. Don't stop being outraged. What do you got? You got the next one was mine.
Missouri becomes first state to regulate use of the word meat. Okay. But why?
Yeah. That's my question.
Okay, let's see. Clean meat. Okay. Wait, so they're saying you can't call soy protein meat anymore?
No. It's not meat, J-Roll.
What the Why? Why does it matter?
Because it's not meat.
What do you mean it's not meat? It's got the texture of meat.
Sorry, but just because you use the verb meaty for things that don't relate to flesh, the meat industry is taking back the word meat.
We're taking back meat. No
Taking
matter
it back.
What the fuck?
You know how sometimes you refer to, let's say, like, you see, like a nice eggplant, a really big eggplant. You're like, wow, that's a meaty eggplant.
Mm-hmm. No, you can't say
it's not meat.
You can't say it anymore. How is it how are they going to so what? They're not going to serve these things in their grocery stores or what?
Yeah, like the packaging. The packaging has to say meat. Can't say meat unless it's flesh.
This is real.
It's fucking dumb. It's the meat industry. They're panicking. You got more vegetarians. You got more vegetarians than ever now.
Yeah, because people are actually paying attention to what's going on.
Right. You got more vegetarians than ever, and they're like, oh, fuck.
We don't want your word meat anyway, fuckers.
I'm pissed. I like the word meat.
I got some meat for them. That's so weird. That's so...
I recorded it. I'm hoping to put it together. I just made a new Satan meatloaf, but I can't call it meatloaf anymore.
Yeah, you gotta call it bread loaf, I guess. The meat substitute market is expected to reach 7.5 billion plus globally by 2025. So they're really scared.
Do you care about this? I want to know if you care about. If anybody that sees this from Missouri, even if you're a meat eater, this whole episode is going to be about being a vegetarian. Even if you're a meat eater, do you care about this? That's it. That's it on today's episode of What the Fuck.
Okay, guys. Today's main talk is going to be one that may hurt some feelings. People may judge us. A lot of people have a lot to say about this.
I'm hoping that the title of Why We Are Vegetarians actually gets us some hate clicks. That's all I'm hoping
probably. I called it Why We Ditched the Meat.
That's all very apropos because that we know what that word means now. It's clear in Missouri.
As long as you know that it has to be the flesh of an animal,
of a living
to be called
animal.
Meat. You can't use it.
So, it's going to be controversial. I want to say, if anybody is watching this and is a meat eater and is aggrieved by the fact that some people decide not to eat meat, watch the episode. I feel like we watch ahead because I know that I have a very, I think, down-to-earth approach to this. I don't want to be preachy. It might come off as preachy, but...
Which it does.
It sure does, but I think it... Anyway, I think the real thing is like, there are reasons to do it. I get why people don't. I think that's the main takeaway. So let's dive into it. Why? And I think to start, well, go ahead and say what you're gonna say. Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say just I want to just bring up right off the bat that just because we do not eat meat, we do not judge meat eaters. If you eat meat, please do so. Just know what it is. And I hate that anytime I do bring up being that people get offended that I don't eat meat. And and I think that comes from, so there's a lot of things like this. And I think the Amazon thing is similar. Like me quitting Amazon, I got really preachy about quitting Amazon. Mm-hmm. And I think I maybe went too far. Not too far, and like I wasn't telling the truth. Like it was all true. I was just being a little too in your face about it. Sure. And I think the reason is because nobody's going to go, no. Well, somebody is, but most people aren't going to go, Amazon's amazing. Amazon's a great company. I think they're doing amazing things for people. It's like they're convenient and they're cheap and they have everything. I mean, that's what they are. Yeah.
And I think that it's tough because people know this stuff in the back of their head. They know the meat industry is disgusting. They don't want to be constantly reminded of it because they're not going to change.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I mean, I think that's it. It's like you don't want to make your life harder, have to buy different things, have to change your diet. So you don't want to be constantly reminded that there's numerous reasons to do so. Mm-hmm. You know? Mm-hmm. So.
And I like that you said hard because it is very hard, my friend.
It is, and it shouldn't be. And that's a part of the thing I want to talk about, too. It should not be as hard as it is, but it is hard.
It's not, yeah. And it's not... All right, okay, so what do you want to start with? You have
I want
something
you
in
to
mind,
start.
right?
I want you to start with your story of becoming. So you are vegan.
Okay, I am vegan.
Start with how you got there.
I have transcended. Okay, I am better than everybody because I am a vegan.
It's true.
Apparently.
It's true.
I've been a vegan for a full year now. That isn't to say that I may have had maybe fish oil in something, or maybe there was something in something that I didn't know about. Maybe I've tasted something that has some kind of dairy product or something in it. But consciously, I have been vegan for a whole year.
And just quickly, labels, people calling yourself a vegan, calling yourself a vegetarian, it's about yourself and what you want to do. I hate people, like, I eat eggs. I eat fish. I still call myself a vegetarian, but I do eat fish. I try to eat very little fish. I eat it when I think I need it. I think fish oil is good for you. That you don't get to tell me what I am.
Yeah.
Because you're not a vegan because one time you drank milk. That is not how it works. It's not a religion where you get totally kicked out of it because you didn't do one thing. It's stupid.
Yeah, it's a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle, and you're always striving to be part of that lifestyle, right? You're not. It's not like rules that you go to vegan jail for.
Right. And that's a good point too. Like, people will be like they'll see me eat something like honey. Okay, I eat honey. Obviously, you try to get it locally, whatever. Oh yeah, honey, you said you were vegan, and I'm like,
that's your choice. Your choice to decide that honey is part of your diet. It's stupid.
Sure. Right. Okay, so prior to being vegan, I was vegetarian for about 2 years. I come from the East Coast. I am of Filipino heritage, and Filipinos are, all of our foods are based in meat. Okay, so being a Filipino that is a vegan, it's sort of rare, and it's definitely interesting because I do think meat is in the culture, and it's part of my DNA, regardless of how I want to think that it is or it isn't. I was vegetarian. My girlfriend was vegetarian before I was, so I think my transition has been a little bit easier due to the fact that I've been doing it with somebody. That has been huge in keeping ourselves both accountable for each other, and just when you do something together, it's definitely easier. I weaned myself away from meat. I was just eating meat when I was not with her. We were cooking vegetarian dinners every night, and then slowly but surely, as I was getting more and more into becoming vegetarian, I just started looking up more about reasons why I should be vegetarian. And once you start looking, you start finding it it's pretty laid out there why you shouldn't be eating meat. And I first started by calling it tumor meat as a joke. That was, whether it's a joke or not, you can decide for yourself.
I mean, it's not a joke. I think it's not funny, a joke, but it's not a joke.
It's a joke and not a joke at the same time. And then I had a friend that was vegan, and he literally just said to me one day at work and was like, just do it. And I was like, all right. And I cold turkeyed, and I told Brittany, hey, we're going vegan. We're not eating cheese anymore. And going from vegetarian to vegan was much harder, I think, because you really lose a lot of food. And and I want to go back to just really quick, the biggest thing that I became vegetarian, really decided to really pursue the vegetarian thing, was I was at the pier with my friend. We were fishing, and he caught this fish, and he held the fish in his hands, and he was lost connection again here. Oh, and we're back. He caught the fish, and he was holding it in his hands, and I was staring the fish dead in the eyes, right? Just kind of just looking at him. And what I saw and what I felt was fear, and I could feel that this fish knew what was happening to him. And for me, that was kind of... I love animals, so I think that really... I never really connected that whole thing with, like, animals that are conscious and actually do have feelings rather than just animals are there for us to eat. And they do actually kind of live lives. Whether it's as intricate as ours, we will never know. But
they certainly do. I mean,
yeah.
Anybody who tries to
there's
make
no question.
Anybody who tries to make the point that animal. I mean, okay. So, let me just back up a little bit. You having the story about the fish is so funny because I probably falsely keep going back to this thought in my head that fish don't feel pain and are too stupid to feel pain.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I mean, I'm probably wrong, but that's like kind of like what I mean, everybody makes excuses. I'm going to say I fall into the same thing that anybody who eats meat and knows this stuff continues to eat meat. You make excuses for yourself. We still eat fish, me and my wife, because fish, because she's got a really high metabolism and she needs a lot of protein, and fish, she loves fish. She's always loved fish. So cutting meat out was actually pretty easy considering we could leave fish in. But I just think that's so funny that your story is related directly to fish. My story is chicken. I don't know if you have seen, I'll put the clip here. We'll put the clip here, but in the movie Samsara,
chicken foam. Oh, the okay, the Samsara clip.
In the movie Samsara, there's this clip about the meat industry, and it goes through like farming them to putting them in drawers to they have like the chicken vacuum, and then they put them in the drawer, and then they slaughter them in this giant warehouse, and they just fucking chop them all up. Doesn't matter what goes through. And then it gets to like the obesity problem in America, and it shows like these large people buying big chunks of meat. And anyway,
it's gross. It's
just disgusting. And it really affected me one time. I was like, those chickens have those. So I'll just go back to how I became vegetarian. And I think you were a large help in like finally doing it, because seeing that you did it, it was like, well, if J-Roll can do it, I can do it.
We were kind of teetering there together at the same time when I was kind of deciding to.
Yeah. So I initially went humane meat. I said, okay, I'm only going to get meat from sources that treat the animals humanely and, slaughter them humanely, whatever that means, right? I really thought it was interesting. There was this book by this autistic person who kind of developed the humane way to slaughter cows, because there's a lot of like similarity to the way that the brain of a autistic person works to the way that a brain of a cow or other animals work. Okay. And they wrote this book on like how to humanely slaughter animals so that they aren't scared when they die, they don't know what's coming and shit like that. And they actually, like, with the cat, it's so fucked up. It's just such a giant trick. I hate it. But they, like, send the cows into this dark hallway, and then when the cows get in the hallway, they get scared, right? Because when you enter a dark hallway and you don't know where you're going, you would be scared too, and they want to turn around, right? So then the dark hallway immediately U-turns. So what happens is they go around this U-turn, and then they feel like they're going back out. So then they calm down.
They feel better.
They feel better, right? So they go, oh, I'm calm, okay, we're going out. And then, out of nowhere, a bolt to the head. So
that is dark.
It's fucked up. And, like, it's touted as, like, a humane way to kill them. You're just tricking them. I mean, you're still traumatizing them, and then you're just tricking them into not being traumatized and then murdering. Anyway, so I remember reading this stuff, and I'm like, okay, so there's humane ways to do this. So I was eating only humane meat, locally sourced meat. And that got really hard to keep up. It's
more of a hassle, right?
It's more expensive. It's so expensive. It's way bigger hassle. I had to ask people at restaurants, and people were like, I don't know where the fuck our meat comes from.
Yeah, that to me is, I hate asking people.
It's dumb. It's like,
that shit.
Of course they don't. The waiter doesn't know where the fucking meat comes from. He has no idea.
Yeah. What's he gonna? Yeah. Has he memorized it? Oh, I got it written here in my my checkbook here. Let me see.
some places tout that they have locally sourced meat, which is great. That was easy. I would go to like the same burger place and get the burger because I knew the burger came from a local Illinois farm and I knew the farm and yada yada. So that worked for a little bit, but it was really hard. And I remember we also had a meat share. We had a CSA. They would send you like a box of meat from this farm.
Jesus. And
you would have the meat in your freezer, and then you could cook it up, and it was all from their farm. One time we got veal, and I was like,
delicious.
I was like, I want
locally. Wait, this is humane
veal,
right?
So you say you treat your animals humanely. I think there's a bit of an oxymoron there with veal, because you're straight up having a cow that doesn't move around a lot and then killing it when it's what? A baby, right?
Yeah.
Don't they kill it when it's a baby?
Young. Yes, very tender.
So I called them and I was like, I don't want veal.
Oh, you called them?
I did. I was like, I'm paying a lot of money for this thing. I was like, I don't want veal. And they were like, well, we just send what we get, so
you're gonna
get veal. Maybe you can send it back or whatever. I was like, okay, well, I'm canceling this. And I remember the last meat I have ever eaten. Although I might have accidentally eaten meat at this point. We've been vegetarian for about a year and a half, and the last piece of meat I ate was 2 summers ago. So maybe it's about 2 years. 2 summers ago, I bought one of them. We used to go to Whole Foods and get the 5 on the humane list of meat. You know how they have the ratings at Whole Foods?
Yeah.
Back before it was Amazon Foods. They had the 5, and I got a 5 steak. I got a big fucking steak at 5, and I was like, I remember opening it up and being like, this is gross.
Just looking at it.
It's just like, I hadn't cooked just a slab of ground beef. You can kind of forget and just or chicken tenders don't really look like gross. It was this big bloody piece of meat. It was just disgusting. The veins and shit.
The veins.
And I was just
all that marbleized fat.
And I just couldn't look at it. And I but that time I remember I grilled it to a recipe. I did a rub on it, and I used a meat thermometer. And it actually was really delicious. I do remember it being delicious. Only because I used to hate steak, but I feel like steak gets cold pretty quickly, and it kind of gets really gross and chewy. Anyway, last piece of meat I ever ate.
Oh, thank you. You can leave it there. All right, cool. Sorry, go on.
What was that? USPS?
Yes.
Tell her thank her for her service, her civil service.
She's gone.
Anyway, so that was it. That was the last piece of meat I ate. We stopped eating meat at that point. I still eat, but I am vegetarian, so we eat fish when we can. We do have we have a fish share from a humanely caught thing online. Emily bought it, and it's good fish. We have a lot of fish from that. We eat eggs, and we eat a little bit of cheese, although I'm trying to cut the cheese out. And we don't drink milk. I just drink oat milk now.
Dairy is the toughest thing.
It's hard. Well, actually, cheese is hard. Oat milk is great. If anybody
milk is disgusting. I'm just saying dairy in general, in the food, if you look at all labels in the grocery store, everything contains this stuff.
We do eat eggs, and I do have hopes in the future to get chickens of my own, so I don't have to rely on factory farmed eggs. I think that would be fine. But we get humanely, laid in nest eggs or whatever. But anyway, it's hard.
Yeah, I think that's.
But it's not as hard as you'd think. The hardest thing is, I think, cheese and other little dairy things. I don't think anything else is really that hard.
If you are thinking about doing vegetarian or vegan, it really is about slowly weaning off. And then once you do wean off, don't cheat. Once you cheat, your mind will be like, you can cheat again,
Yeah, and don't
cheat again. And you're like, okay, yeah, I can have it this one time, and I won't have it this next time. It'll just be a continual thing where you're just constantly cheating, and then at that point, you're like, fuck it.
And don't. I would say a good way to wean is I said, start going. Well, pick your reason, which is the next thing I think we should go into. But like, what would be the reason if you're thinking about going vegetarian? I think there's plenty of good reasons, and I think anybody watching this, even meat eaters, could relate to one of the. I think there's like 5 good reasons to go vegetarian, and or vegan. And
let's see what's your top 2. What are your top 2 reasons?
Well, I have all of them are good reasons. I can give you the ones in order to why I went there.
Okay, yeah, do it.
But actually, I think it's opposite of why most people might want to go vegetarian.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to start with me. I started with animal. I love animals, and humanity to animals was the number one reason. It was disgusting how they treated them. I think living beings should not be treated that way. I think at some point in our humanity, we needed to rely on hunting other animals, and I don't think we need to anymore. I think we've evolved out of that. People will say like, well, our ancestors, I even used to say our ancestors used to hunt meat, and like, so it's natural for humans to hunt and eat meat. And it's like, first of all, we're not hunting it. We don't even look. I don't even think we look at it like it is alive anymore.
You don't even know
when you see
it's completely.
You don't even think about that.
It's completely displayed. You have no idea.
It's just food mass. It's just to most people now. It's just food mass, and it's the mass of something that came from something. Who knows and whatever. If you thought about it, yeah, sure, it's a cow, but like I don't think we actually are imagining it coming from a cow when you eat a burger. So I think like that was my first one, and then secondarily,
let's talk about that one real quick. So like,
okay,
I think I would agree with that. I think if you claim to be an animal lover, I'm sorry, if you are not at least vegetarian, I do not believe you're an animal lover. I don't know what it is about people who tout loving animals and still eat meat, because if you actually look into what goes on in these places where you get your meat, these animals that you love so dearly are getting mistreated like unlike anything we've ever done to any kind of species of any kind in the entire like history.
If you actually sit down and think about it, watch one stupid video, you will see how absolutely disgusting it is.
And it's real. Okay? And it happens to pretty much every piece of meat you can think that you're eating. This is where it's coming from.
Yeah, I mean, very rarely is it from some, like I said, like I was trying to get humane meat.
I never knew that.
It's very rare.
And they're just tricking them into terrifying them and then making them happy.
Right. What does humane mean? Sure. Like, there's also no fucking regulation for like humane, right?
Okay, so what's number 2?
Hold on, I wanted to show you this real quick. Let me send you this. You've probably seen this picture. I think a lot of people have. But I think it's like truly a good representation of how I feel about it.
There it is, my friends. This is what we're talking about. Pigs, right here.
Pigs are smarter than
dogs. Yeah.
Dogs.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make any sense that you love your dog and your cat nowadays. I think there was a time. I will not disagree that there was a time in our society when meat was the most effective way to raise really good food for your family. I don't disagree with that, but we've evolved past that. And animals used to be workers. They would work for you. Cats would catch the mice. Dogs would herd your sheep. They were just not eaten because they were useful. Now we are living in harmony with them. We need to do that in general, and not be hypocritical about it. So, and I think that's the last one for people. I think it's hard. Like I said, that was my first one. I think that's end of the road for most people. It's like, my dog's my dog. Everything else is just fucking.
Yeah,
food,
I think as you become vegetarian, vegan, that one makes its way to the top.
It does, yeah. It was definitely the first one for me. I didn't really know about a lot of the other ones, but I think it was the first one for me at the time. So I think the next one for me was... so there's 4. The next one for me was how disgusting, not just how they treat the animals. So that's one side, but just how fucking gross
it's so bad
industrial farming is. Just in general. I mean, like, okay, you don't care that the chickens are filled full of hormones where their breasts are so big they can't walk upright. They can't hold their bodies up.
Broiler chickens.
If you don't care about that, okay. It's still gross. You got a mutant chicken who can't walk.
That's what
living in its own piss and shit on the floor.
Yeah.
That's disgusting. You want to eat that?
Apparently people do. That's the whole joke with the tumor meat, right? It's like it's not even a chicken, right? It's like it's a thing with eyes that walks around that has like chicken flesh or whatever for us to like cut into.
And it's probably still got the brain of a chicken and feels like shit and lives a horrible life, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's going back to the caring about the chicken, but still, it's like a mutant nightmare.
It's an abomination, my friends, and it literally does walk around in shit, in bloody shit, in fucking like, I mean.
Well, it can't stand up straight, so where do chickens shit and on the ground? So its fucking body is on the. I mean, you watch these videos, you can see it. They like can't move.
And if you've ever worked in, say, a restaurant, you already know how dirty a restaurant can be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Let alone we're slaughtering hundreds and hundreds of animals every day. How clean can it really be? All right.
It's not. I mean, and they keep cutting regulations for this shit too. You've gotten completely away from. People want to talk about, oh well, we had to cook meat and we did, and like that's what we do. That's part of like being human, and it's like. Even if that's the case, we've gotten so far away from that with this industrialized food that argument doesn't make any sense.
Right.
It's not that anymore. Now it's corporations finding the most disgusting and cheap ways to shove meat into your face.
Bigger, faster, stronger.
Yeah.
I think that is that number. Is
so
that
that's
number 3 then?
So that's not so 4. So yeah, I'm saying 4 for people. 1 for me was humanity to the animals. Number 2 for me was how gross it is. Okay, number 4. What I think this is like number 2. I think on most people's list, and what might actually convert people. These last 2 I think are right at the top. This might actually make people consider it. So number 2 is environmental. Environmentally, it is bad for the environment. You can find studies on how cow farts are the number 1 contributor to greenhouse gases. The studies exist. They are corroborated. It is true. Now, if we could now I don't think that. I mean, there's no way that people would go after, like, would be okay with them completely cutting out cow farming. So I don't think there's any way to get rid of it. But if we all ate half the meat we ate right now, we would probably get greenhouse gases to a point where we can.
That's really all it takes, folks.
I'm not even saying stop eating meat.
It's the moderation.
Stop eating meat every day.
Not just every day, okay? Don't eat it for breakfast.
Every meal.
Don't eat it for your snack. Don't eat it for lunch.
Bacon,
don't
ham
eat it
sandwich,
for dinner.
chicken for dinner. Okay? It's like,
I would agree.
To just cut it out half the time, and I think, and they've found studies this would cut down on greenhouse gases hugely. And livestock farming is just a waste of land, and they have, because we eat so much meat. Again, you talk about how we ate meat as a necessity. We didn't eat this much meat as a necessity. We did not eat a burger every night.
For you that don't know, the chickens that stop laying eggs don't actually get used for meat because that's not what they were made for. We just toss them into the trash.
They just go in the trash.
They just go in the trash. We don't even eat that meat.
Their corpses get shoveled away.
And then that's not even talking about, not only does it take up land, that's not even talking about the amount of water it takes to
so much
to
water.
feed to grow the grains that feed the cows, blah 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 blah. The amount of water, our water issue is highly tied into also our farming industry, and that is a whole nother thing with the environment. And I think you're right.
Yeah, it is. I think it is something that I think people, at least on the liberal side of things, who believe in global warming, can get behind this. Yeah. It's a huge way. If you want to lower your personal carbon footprint, which I'm not the person who's like, we all need to drive electric cars because it's going to help the environment. It's like, I think corporations need to stop polluting. Mm-hmm. But if you want to drop your personal carbon footprint to feel better about yourself, there's no better way than vegetarianism.
Okay. What is the final reason here?
Number one reason, and I think this is the reason that people unwillingly or go vegetarian. They don't want to, but they have to, is health. Vegetarian or vegan. I mean, the number one thing doctors tell you when you're obese is to cut out the red meat. It's terrible for you. There are so many studies that show how terrible red meat is for you. It's terrible.
It's bad, folks.
So if you want to be healthier and you don't want to die of cancer, I won't say something that I don't know is true. There are studies that have linked red meat to cancer, but they are not, I can't say whether they are completely corroborated or not. Sure. There is that one Netflix documentary. A lot of people were critical of it. But what you can't deny is that that red meat is bad for your heart and bad for your and makes you fat. So if you don't want to be unhealthy, a great way to do that is to cut out red meat.
And that's where, I mean, starting with the cows, I mean, that is the first step, right? Like you said.
Yeah.
As far as cutting red meat for your health, cutting the cows out for factory farms, which are bad for the environment, and just the cow industry alone, that is a huge part of the many problems we have going on in the world today. And if anyone wants to ask you where you get your protein from after you become vegetarian, which is obviously the first thing that anyone will...
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Everyone will always say, well, where do you get your protein from? Mike, where do you get your protein from?
What's going on out there? They coming for you?
I'm going to wonder if there's going to be any podcast that we do where a fucking wailing cop doesn't go driving down the street next to my house. Like, I think it's been everything.
It has been, yeah. Yeah, where do you get your protein? Okay, so you're telling me the only place to get protein is meat, right? So soy, which people will go, soy's been linked to higher levels of estrogen. It's fucking bullshit.
Yeah, you have to eat a truckload of soy every day.
The study said you have to eat literally like 10 pounds of soy a day to have an even little effect on your estrogen level. So don't believe the fucking bullshit from the meat industry. Number 2, yeah. Beans. Beans are great.
Beans are good. Okay.
Number 3, Satan. Satan's really good. Seton, whatever you want to call. Hail Seton. I love Satan.
Seton. If you have a gluten allergy, though, Seton's tough. But
Seton's tough for gluten, yeah. Seton's all gluten. So if you have a gluten allergy,
Seton is literally gluten. It's bread meat.
Gluten
bread
protein.
Meat. If you haven't had it, it's delicious.
It's bread meat. It's really good.
You will be more conscious of what you're eating and your protein intake if you do get away from meat. You really become this, like for me, I never cared about looking at the back of labels of foods. I look every time now. I look every single time to see what you're putting in your body. And I think that's again with the health thing is like going vegan has made me healthier in eating. And a big thing that it has cut out for me completely is just junk food. I can't go to any fast food restaurants. I can't eat a lot of the different, you go in a 7-Eleven, there's nothing in there for you. Everything has dairy or cheese.
Has dairy in it.
It has chocolate, milk, all that shit. And I know you can't see it. I mean, you can see it if you're, really fat or whatever you have, but what you put in your body really stays in there. And I think people really do need to start taking that into consideration because when you're young, it's easy. I'm 31 now. Mike, you're a little older, that stuff's going to catch up at some point, and you really need to start taking care of yourself as you get older.
I think we forget that when we're in our teens and 20s, you can eat like a fucking dump truck, and it doesn't do anything to your body. I mean, some people it does, and I do feel for those people. I, as a teenager and 20-year-old, ate like garbage, and it was fine.
And you're fine.
I also drank a ton, and I just woke up and kept going. Like, I can't do that shit anymore, too. Yeah. It catches up to you, man. Our bodies are just, it's the same body, so it's just older now, But and one thing, people say, like, where do you get your meat? Where do you get your protein? I want to go, why do you eat so much protein? Yeah. Because I guarantee most people way overeat their protein than they need to. Because you're eating burgers all the time. Like, you don't need 3 protein bombs a day unless you're working out. Are you working out? Because if you're not working out, you do not need as much protein as most people get.
Burgers are also pretty bad for you folks, so
they're terrible. They're full of juice. They're full of that gross, makes you feel like a goddamn brick afterwards. You remember that feeling?
I don't remember it.
I don't have that.
I can imagine.
I don't have that feeling anymore, and that feeling, it's just that weighted, like, disgusting, oily, I just ate a burger.
I'm so full.
Check out the Impossible Burger. It's getting more and more affordable every day.
It is. The more places they put it, the cheaper it'll get.
The White Castle Impossible Burger is fucking delicious if you do have to eat fast food.
I have to try that.
You should try it. You can get it with no cheese on it. It's great.
I think the other thing I want to bring up for people going is the like public opinion about it and dealing with family members and friends and just
that's the hardest part. That's the hardest part.
I think for me, I kind of I try to shrug it off and not really get into it because sometimes if you do want to get into it, I can make it really disgusting for people, and I don't want, like you said, we don't want to.
That's
preach,
what I
right?
do when people want to get into it.
Yeah, you don't want them to. I don't want people to feel uncomfortable, even though sometimes maybe they do have to. But if somebody's talking shit, okay, maybe you talk shit back. But
if they're making me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, it is a lot of food shaming. You will be dealing with getting food shamed. I will go to a gig and I'll have a vegan meal and people will joke, be like, "Oh, how's your salad? How's your salad taste?" And it's like,
so stupid.
Just let me eat my salad, dude. Just leave me alone.
Right. I went to a shoot and they had tacos for lunch and I just ate the guacamole because that's all I could eat. And the tacos were both meat. They were chicken and beef. And he goes, "You just gonna eat guacamole?" And I was like, I don't eat meat. And he was like, "Ugh, I just don't know how anybody does that. I don't know how anybody does that." And I was like, "I don't know how you guys eat meat." I was like, you know where that comes from, right? And he was like, yeah, I know. And I was like,
and he doesn't want to talk about it.
He doesn't want to talk about it. Because, it's gross. Yeah. You want to tell me you know how I don't eat meat?
Yeah.
Then start.
Yeah, so.
You should start. You should be ready to talk about how awesome it is.
It's tough. There are a lot of things that you have to deal with in order to do it. But, again, we always preach following your passions and making choices. We mentioned it earlier in this episode about, giving your, where you give your dollars, who you support. And
right.
If you really sit down and think about what it is, what it's doing to the environment, where it comes from, if you think about the humanity issue in it and you really sit down and really think about it, it's hard to deny it. And if you are a passionate person and you really want to do I say just stay strong and try it. You don't have to do it forever. Maybe you do it for a year. Maybe
also
you try
cut it out. cut it out a little. Do
Just
meat.
a
A lot of
tiny
people
bit.
start with meatless Mondays, and then go to meatless only meat on the weekends, and any number of things. So
Yeah, like living in California, it's easier because a lot of people are vegetarian and vegan. I find that when I go
even Chicago's not that hard. No.
Yeah, I just feel like in a lot of places you do feel secluded and alone and all that stuff. But again, it just has to take. It's just about your willpower and your actual want to make a change. And I know that sounds like so like you again, preachy, like make a change. We're gonna change the world. It's one person at a time, and that's why we want to bring this. That's why we want to bring this episode to you, because maybe we do change one person. That's all it takes.
Yeah, and even if you let's say you come to this because you're like, oh, I do hate corporations, giant corporations, and all that, but I eat meat or whatever. It's like, this is a great way to stick it to the man.
That's a huge way to stick it to the corporations, guys.
The meat
one of the
industry,
biggest corporations in the world.
If the meat industry is ruining the agriculture of the country, like little farmers can't do what they used to because the giant meat industry is taking over. So you want to stick it to the man, which I do. Stop eating meat.
That's one of our reasons, right? I mean,
yeah, definitely one of the reasons. I keep running into people though who I really find it weird. I keep running into people who used to be vegan or vegetarian and have stopped, and that's fine. But I couldn't not do it now.
I'm not sure if I could go back either. Somebody was asking me that the other day, and I was like,
I think I know a lot of young people. Maybe it's a young person, like people who did it when they were like in college.
Okay.
And maybe didn't really do it for the right reasons or something. But anyway, go ahead.
We just want to bring up that last thing. We forgot to bring this up. Is just that being a vegan makes you straight up a better cook.
Yeah, it does.
Mike, you always talk about frying up a steak and how easy it is to be like, fry up a steak, put it in your mouth.
Well, my point was to people, it's easy to make meat taste good. It already tastes good.
Straight up.
There's
no denying that.
We are humans. We have eaten meat for millennia. It is great. We all like it because it's part of our palate. It's so easy to make it taste good. You could fucking throw a burger. You can throw the shittiest meat on the grill and put it in between two buns, and people are like, "This is a good ass burger. This burger's great."
Yeah, people will be saying that this weekend, folks. Labor Day's coming up.
People are going to be like, this is a really good burger. It's like, well, that was like D-grade meat. So I'm glad you love it. It's really easy, and it's definitely made me a better cook. Now I think about spicing things. I think about how much salt things need. I think about like, okay, if I'm going to make this tofu, I gotta marinate it. So now I got to make a marinade for this tofu. I mean, it's this Seton loaf. So the ones that I made, and this will show up in the video, but I made one. So there's the base loaf that's like just the gluten, protein, and the nutritional yeast. And then you can add things. And I always do add-ins. And like, so one of them I did tomato and onion. One of them I did like parsley and garlic. And they're both delicious in different ways. And it's just like mind-blowing how much you can do if you actually think about it.
Yeah, you start to actually learn about food. And I don't know. There's just something about us as humans where, like, food, it like brings people together, right? And it definitely has brought me and Brittany together close because, we cook together. We always cook together. We always try to find new recipes and stuff like that. And it's just really fun. I find cooking fun. I don't know. I don't know if some people don't like cooking. Some people don't think they're good cooks, even though I think cooking is it's literally following a recipe.
It's not hard.
It's literally step by step.
And like I said, I love those recipes where it's like a base recipe and then you have like room to do whatever you want.
Yeah. And everything is that way, right? Every recipe is kind of a base recipe.
Sort of,
Yeah, you kind of throw in what you want. Yeah, I think that's another good reason to try it. It really opens you up, and I think meat, like you said, is just built into our DNA, and it's hard to get away from it. And
it is, and that's a truth that I'm not going to ever try and deny. I mean, people want to say like, "Oh yeah, we were eating meat as cavemen or whatever." It's like, you're right. I mean, you're not wrong.
Totally. Yeah.
It's not a bad point. I think we evolved past pillaging and raping nearby towns in order to grow your society. At least most of us have.
Yeah.
So let's move past this. Let's move past the disgusting act of slaughtering an animal to feed someone. Like,
not only to and just to bring it back to the corpse again, they do not give a fuck about feeding you, my friend. These are about dollar bills.
No, it's about dollars. If it was about feeding you, well, that goes back to that corporate, Accountability and Capitalism Act. If the meat industry was forced to do things that were only in the benefit of the people that they serve, you will see a huge difference in the kind of things you're going to get from something like the meat industry.
Yeah. So.
If the meat lobby had the meat lobby right now has two ways to affect how much money it makes: sell you stuff and lobby the government to change laws so that they can make food cheaper when they sell it to you. If you take away the ability to lobby the government I mean, obviously you still need lobbyists. They have to be part of the conversation, but not just pay for play. You're going to see a huge dramatic difference in the ability in the types of things we're going to see out of something like the meat industry. It's not going to get rid of meat completely, but they don't care. It's not about what's most healthy for you. It's about what makes them the most money.
It's not, and it's obviously not about health because again, these places are absolutely abysmal.
Yeah. Like try to get into a meat factory.
Yeah. Go ahead and ask for a tour, a deep down tour of one of these. They will not let you in there. Yeah. There's just no chance.
Dude, we used to. At the place I used to work, one of our biggest clients was Vienna Beef, and they have a hot dog factory. They're the oldest hot dog factory in Chicago. And hot dogs is a Chicago tradition. I'm not denying that. I think we can move past it, but I'm not denying it. And we used to go in there to film into the factory. And there were things that they told you can't film.
Yeah, don't film that.
Don't film that? You really want to eat a tube of meat that came out of a factory that they told the guy who's filming in the factory not to film that part?
Excuse me, sir. If you could not film that drainage hole over there where the meat's going down, just okay. Let's wrap it up. I think, guys, there are plenty of beautiful and amazing reasons to go vegetarian and then vegan as well. Don't let the media, don't let what other people think of you change your mind. And,
right. It's a personal decision.
Don't let the cravings take over. It's all about willpower. It's like coming off of, say, like cigarettes or an addiction. Meat is literally an addiction.
Your palate changes. Your palate changes over time. So the less you eat it, the less you're going to want it.
Again, it's not going to happen overnight. This is when you do it, it's a commitment, and there's no denying that. And it is harder. It makes life a little bit harder, but I do promise you, you will definitely feel healthier, and you can at least tell yourself that you yourself and maybe your family are actually benefiting the world in some shape or form if you're not doing anything else that does that.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, like I said, the 4 things. It's like do it for your health, and if that's not enough, do it for the environment. If that's not enough, do it because it's disgusting. The meat industry is disgusting, and if that's not enough, do it because the animals are treated like shit.
Okay, everyone's favorite part. We got is it the Fuji corner? Welcome.
That's the best thing I've ever heard.
I promised I wouldn't do it again, but since we didn't have any viewers last time to say whether or not it was racist, I'm going to continue to speak in the Fuji voice.
Yeah, you got to stop us if you want us to stop. You got to chime in on the comments. We need some comments.
You got to tell us.
Our one subscriber. Hey, Florio. What is this? Florio.
If you watch this, tell us.
We got to put his name in the title.
Florio.
We got to put his name in the title.
Is it racist or not?
Tell us,
today
Florio.
We're going to be talking about the rumored Fujifilm XT3, its specs, and apparently, according to Fuji rumors, this bad motherfucker is coming out at the end of September. Mike, what do you think?
I think it's great. I think it looks incredible, and that's really soon. And I'm gonna just need more money so I can buy one.
Yeah, Mike's a little sad because Fuji tricked him into buying an XH1 about a year ago. Now he has to contemplate whether or not he needs to buy XT3.
A second camera wouldn't be terrible.
I was already complaining to you the other day that I needed a second camera because I couldn't shoot me shooting me with another camera.
I already have a second camera.
Yeah,
I already have one.
It's different. I was like, and then your solution was to shoot with my iPhone, which is not a bad idea, but
I mean, you do like the overhead shot.
Yeah.
You could do the gear shot,
Yeah, that'll be my next video. I want to talk about my gear back, but let's talk about some of these specs. To me, the biggest thing about this new camera, and there's a couple things, but I think the biggest thing is going to be this this new sensor. It's a back illuminated sensor, 26 megapixel X strands, which they claim will have ridiculous better low light and better dynamic range. And apparently,
is that right? Is it back illuminated?
I was wondering if it was backlight illuminated.
Is it back illuminated? But is it Nikon? Does it have the Nikon logo on it?
It unfortunately doesn't have the Nikon logo on it, but it will have 4K 60 frames per second, my friends.
That is wild. What else does that now?
That is an upgrade. I can't think of what.
Does Panasonic do that?
The Sony has to be able to
do
that. The new Sony doesn't do it? Google.
No.
If this 4K 60 and if Sony doesn't do it, I'm going to laugh because...
Hold on. Sony A7 III specs. Here we go. We're talking about the A7 III, right?
Yes.
No, not the A9. We know the A9's great because it's so expensive.
If anyone wants to spend $4,000, get the A9.
The A7 III looks like a PlayStation 2 peripheral. Okay.
Yeah, you can actually upload PSP games and play through the viewfinder.
It just says 1080 120.
Oh, it doesn't shoot 4K at all? Bullshit.
It shoots 4K at 24.
Okay, so this Fujifilm sensor is about to shoot 4K 60 frames per second. That's gonna dump.
Come on, it has to. You're right. The Sony should, right?
Oh,
Anyway, continue. I'll find it.
I do have a dagger for you about the XT3, Mike. This is a serious dagger for you.
Okay.
It is not going to get a new film simulation, which includes Eterna.
It's not getting Eterna?
It just says it does not include a new film simulation, and if that just
Eterna's not new.
If it means new, but XT2 does not have Eterna in general.
Eterna's not new.
I know that Eterna's not new for the XH1, but it would be new for the XT series.
If it doesn't have Eterna, what the fuck is the point?
They gotta keep hold of that XH1 line by having the IBIS and the Eterna film simulation for it, right?
What's the point without Eterna? Does it shoot F-Log? Does it shoot, F-Log?
Yeah, of course.
Well, so you can shoot F-Log and throw the Eterna LUT on
10-bit. Oh, okay. So it says no new film simulation, and in parentheses it says for now. So maybe it will have Eterna.
Well, even worst case, you can shoot 10-bit F-Log and then throw the Eterna profile on it, which I did. Remember when you shot some of that stuff N-Log in Mexico? Good. I threw the Eterna on there. I didn't even touch it. Just the Eterna profile looks exactly like the other stuff.
They did say that the reason why the XT2 can't get Eterna is because it doesn't have enough processing power to simulate that thing. I don't know if that's bullshit, but they had a new...
Yeah, but I don't know. Eterna looks so good. Maybe it does take a lot of processing.
Well, they got this new processor, so that's what I'm saying. Is
yeah, right? It should be able to handle it.
It'll be bullshit if they don't put Eterna on it. Fujifilm, don't be bitches. Put Eterna on the XT3, okay?
In fact, put it on the XT2 next upward.
Yeah, you know what? Put it on all your cameras because it really is an amazing film simulation.
Put a dumbed down version if the processor can't handle it.
Yeah, put a Eterna shit or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, shithole Eterna. Okay, so I told you shoot that Pro Neg with the saturation and the contrast turned down. That looks pretty good. That's almost Eterna.
It's almost, folks. Not quite.
They should put out a new film.
Another big thing, it's going to be able to shoot 30 frames per second in electronic shutter with a 1.25 crop mode. Listen, guys, if you're going to be shooting 30 frames a second, you're absolutely out of your mind, but goddamn, is that fast.
That's fast as fuck. Dude. What's the I think point? You could shoot a little 1 second movie with those 30 frames. How's that going to sound? It's going to sound like this.
It's faster than that, dude. It's even faster.
What about that? Man?
It's
so funny when DSLRs with the mirror goes that.
It just slaps. Unbelievable. Another awesome thing. Base ISO 160. Actually, speaking of which, Mike, last night I showed Brittany the Fuji Corner Nikon Z, clips of it. It's great because she has no idea what we're talking about.
Emily thought it was funny too. She has no idea.
Yeah, she laughed, but she was like, "But I was like, are you like retaining anything we're talking about?" She's like, "I have no idea what you guys are saying." It makes zero sense what you guys are saying.
I told Emily, I was like, she was like, "Oh, I saw it. It was funny," and I'm like, "Yeah, because the camera's so big," and she's like. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why it was funny.
I think it's just funny to watch us losing it over some stupid lens.
Yeah, that was a pretty good though. Let's see. Last thing we want to say is, it's going to be cheaper than the XT2, which came out at $1,600 because it's going to be made in China.
At least we think that's why.
China number one. That's a Battlegrounds PUBG joke.
I hope they maybe they'll start making cameras in Cuba, and I can start doing accents for that.
Yeah, but China number one.
Or Mexico.
How would you say Mexico?
Mexico numero uno. Mexico numero uno.
It's not.
We want to come to America because it's better. I want to go there because it's better.
Oh, yeah.
It's a better place to live.
Yeah. Until we take your children away, and then you'll find out what it really is. Better.
Have my children. I don't want them. Take them. I don't want them. I hate them.
Yeah, I think this camera is gonna be pretty amazing. Will I get one? I'm not sure yet. I need some money. Maybe we'll sell something. Maybe we can both get one.
You better get one. Sell your XT2 and just get it.
I don't want to sell the XT2. I kind of in love with it.
Why?
It's like my first Fuji that I ever got. I kind of want to keep it.
Oh, come on. It's just a piece of equipment.
That's true. All right, sell that, and then spend $500 extra to get the new XT3. That's not a bad deal.
Is that how little you're going to get for it? I saw one for $1,000 the other day.
Yeah, but once the XT3 comes out, dude, it's going to be harder to sell it, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
Also,
you have to sell it now.
Anyone that wants to buy gear from me, my shit is used. I'm talking like, I'm like, like used. Okay, I do not baby my gear. I do not wrap it in a blanket. I do not put it away with ease. Okay, I fucking shoot my lenses into my bag. I fucking come in from work and throw my camera onto my desk. Okay, this is not. I will not be able to get $1,000.
It's got that warranty. Why not? Who cares?
Yeah, some people care. Okay. That's why
my Sony A7S looked like absolute shit.
All the paint
marks were when I sold it,
worn out,
and I sold it for more than I bought the XH1 for.
That's not
it true. only shoots 1080p, and I sold it for $1,900.
No, you did not.
I did. It looked like shit. The rubber handle was coming off, the rubber grip.
But doesn't it shoot at like 256,000 ISO for vid? That's so sick.
Yeah. If you want to shoot in your closet, shoot a vlog in your closet with no lights on.
Don't use lights, guys. If you shoot an A7S, don't use lights ever. Cause
why light things?
No, there's no reason.
There's no reason to.
You can shoot it like you can shoot it. You can shoot at 124,000 easily. It looks real good. Looks really good.
You should just get night vision goggles.
Might
I mean,
as
if you're at that point, what's the difference?
And then on top of the XT3, hopefully when they announce it, we'll get the GFX50R, which is the medium format camera by Fuji, and hopefully this will be able to shoot 4K vid. If it does, Mike.
Fuji, come on, just put 4K in the GFXR in the R. Yeah. Put 4K in it. You can crop the sensor. I don't care. Even if you don't do slow-mo, I get it. Just put Eterna. Put Eterna on there.
You know what? Fuck the slow-mo. I don't even care. Don't even bother with the slow-mo.
Don't even. Right.
We got the I got the XH2 and I got the XH1 for slow-mo.
Got the XH1 for that. Just give me 4K, 24p. Give me Eterna. I'll buy that camera. I'll buy it right when it comes out.
And then you won't ever have to hear anybody talk about how full their frames are, right? You can be like, my sensor is like double the
do you want to see the sensor? Because it's like this.
I think it's like double the full frame, so not sure if that really matters anymore at this point. Because, and for the next episode, guys, we're gonna talk about film simulations and why you don't need to shoot raw and edit all the time, folks.
Yeah, I'll show you the footage, but I just shot this thing. It was outside. It was bright. I shot it with Eterna. Just overexposed a little because the shadows. They were backlit.
It's just
I didn't even touch it. I'll put the clip right here. I'll put it right here. I didn't even touch it.
It'll be a preview, guys, of what we're going to talk about. Okay, this is hands down. Maybe not hands down, but if there are top 3 reasons to shoot Fuji, we're gonna bring you the color science and the idea behind the film simulations that come with these cameras, because they are no joke. I know that film simulations and other cameras are a joke. Okay, you don't even think about using them.
Sony, do you know what Sony has? They have 4 cine profiles.
Yeah, are they called portrait,
cine,
flower
no,
mode,
they're called
mode,
cine.
and
they're called Cine 1, Cine 2. Cine 3.
Using that Cine 3 or what, bro? You got that Cine 3 on there?
Sony, what's the fucking difference? Why'd you just name them Cine 1, 2, 3, and 4? What's the difference?
So for that obvious reasons, Fujifilm has been in the business of creating film since the day film is pretty much. I mean, they've been around for a long time.
Yeah,
so.
I wonder. So Fuji uses their old film as ways of changing their color profiles. Do you think Sony uses Cine 1 was what we used on the dishwasher. Cine 2 was
really
the washing
that
machine.
Microwave that we used to have. That was pretty good. We'll use the
that was
profile
cool, so we'll use the
for
profile
Cine
from
4,
that.
really.
Ooh, PlayStation 2 is the Cine 4 profile.
Yeah.
So if you want that PlayStation 2 look, Cine 4 is the one you want to hit up.
It's it's real, guys. These profiles, these film simulations are the real deal.
They're great. They're great.
Amazing.
We'll go through them next.
We'll talk
time.
about
That's
that at our next Fuji Corner. But
you know what's awesome? Hey, can I change the profile mid shot? Hold on, let me try it right now.
Nah, dude.
Can I?
Nah.
No, I can't. I'll cut. We'll do it. We'll do some cuts and we'll show different profiles right here.
Yeah, and
perfect.
Let's try to get one more subscriber. Florio, you are our main man right now.
We need one.
If you could comment on every one of our videos and ask us questions and stuff, that would be awesome.
Florio, please. We just need one.
Something.
We want one
friend,
more.
Florio, tell your friend. We'll have two.
Who's your best friend? Say,
best friend.
These guys literally did a podcast and talked about me for majority of it.
Yeah, we always
Can you just
multiple
also
times
subscribe to
awesome,
them?
As awesome you were. So. Episode 5, folks. Thank you very much for those who listen. We will try to do our best to bring you more and more content. We're gonna start cutting out pieces out of the full things into smaller pieces so we can show you more stuff. It seems like a lot of people like that last Instagram post that we did. So
yeah, we need to do that again and more often. We got to go back to some of the older ones and do that too.
Yeah, I want to do a lot of those Sony shit talking ones because I think that's why it was so good.
Yeah, we'll pull one. We'll pull one from that.
I put hashtag Chipotle in that last one, and Chipotle shirt started following us on Instagram. So the power we have.
The hashtag. I mean, yeah, we got a lot of followers at Instagram. So just because we only have one on YouTube doesn't mean we're not.
If you also, Florio, know how to get more subscribers on YouTube, please leave a comment. And
Florio, every time we ask a question, we just
talk to him.
Dude, he's gonna unsub after this episode.
Yeah, true. Florio, don't unsub, bro. Don't unsub.
Don't unsub. We're sorry. We're just joking.
Yeah.
We won't bother you.
We won't bother you. But seriously, tell your best
subscribe.
friend. Okay. Love you guys. Thank you again.
Peace.
Subscribe. Instagram. Subscribe. Bye.